Well, this is how the week started last week. It was a very cold week, as you know. Look at the Arctic air. The Arctic air last Wednesday extended over a large part of the central and eastern Corn Belt. We had record low temperatures. In many cases, the temperatures did not even come above zero with a lot of snow cover on the ground. So it was a pretty brutal week. I mentioned that in last week's briefing, and it really did turn out to be a very cold start of the week. Now, I did want to give you a sign of some optimism here. This upcoming Sunday. I'm doing this briefing a little bit early this week than normally I would do, but you can see by Sunday the shades of red are temperatures surprisingly above normal. And what we see is large areas of above normal temperatures over large parts of the U.S., especially over the eastern part of the U.S. So we're really seeing some much warmer air pushing in. Now, I wanted to show you this is an Arctic oscillation. I've been talking about this for the last couple of months now. I talk about this a lot of times in the winter months. It's a difference in pressure, and it gives me some clue as far as temperature trends looking forward. Now, the black line is the past trace of the Arctic oscillation, and then these red lines are the forecast. Now, right now, look at this here. If it's below this horizontal line, that's a negative phase Arctic oscillation, and that corresponded to this burst of snow and very cold, record-setting cold that we just went through. Now, it's going to go through 4 different phases over the next 3 to 4 weeks. The second phase is going to go into a positive phase, and that's what we're going into right now. We're in this positive phase, and that's bringing us our warmer temperatures. Now, remember, generally speaking, and there are a lot of exceptions, when it's positive, we get warmer weather, and when it's negative, we get colder weather. Now, that doesn't last all that long, because look at this. The forecast is calling for it to again dip into a negative range, and that's going to be the third phase, and that will bring in some colder temperatures, and then it goes back into a positive phase as we get towards the end of January. So what this is saying for the next 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, we're going to have alternating periods of colder air and warmer air. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near as extreme as we've seen the cold temperatures in the past, but it will be alternating back and forth between above normal and below normal temperatures. So the last 7 days, observed precipitation, lots of snow, lots of rain, and that's somewhat unusual to have such heavy snow followed by heavy rain through the central U.S. Corn Belt, Missouri, parts of Illinois, Indiana, into Michigan. And this area here, generally the eastern Corn Belt, is really getting a very good replenishment of soil moisture that's going to most likely last into spring. There's been repeated snow and now this rain, and I think there's enough in the upper soils now to sustain, even if it does get drier, but that will be enough upper soil moisture to sustain, I think, into the spring planting season. Now, temperatures, when we average temperatures, it's really hard to come up with an average because we're averaging it from that extreme cold to then some milder temperatures towards the end of this period. But you can see for the week, when we average out the week, we still averaged out well below normal over most of the central part of the U.S. And those are those blue, purple, and very light purple colors. Those are the areas that have been very, very cold. Lots of snow as well earlier this week. The main snow band was right here through Missouri, through St. Louis, up towards Chicago, and then we got this lake effect snow, nearly 24 to 30 inches in a few spots on the lee side of the lakes. It's very heavy lake effect snow, and then the band of snow. Elsewhere over the Corn Belt, over the Dakotas, over Minnesota, over Iowa, over Wisconsin, there was some snow, but for the most part it was fairly light. So here's the snow depth. You can take a look at this, and actually much of the snow cover over Missouri is being eroded away by the rain. So we're going to see a very quick erosion of snow over parts of the Corn Belt. And I'll show you a graphic later in this briefing that shows you the anticipated amount of snow that will be removed due to warmer temperatures and rainfall. So these are the current steering winds, and what you see here is a dip in the jet stream. This purple here and red, that's the upper energy, and that's producing the system that's moving through as this briefing is being made, and is producing the heavy rain over central parts of the Corn Belt and over the eastern part this weekend. That's going to be rotating through fairly quick. And then by late in this week, here's this pattern. And this isn't a real strong pattern. We have some energy embedded in this, but it's pretty weak. It's not real confined, are very compacted. And what we're going to have with this pattern here, low pressure up here, and we will have some colder air sinking down in here, and that corresponds to that phase of the Arctic Oscillation, that second phase, with some cooler air pushing down. So basically what we're going to have this week is we're going to start off quite mild, and then we're going to have some cooler air pushing down over the region as the week goes through. Now the precipitation, it looks like a fairly quiet week. The rain and snow in the colder regions will be coming early in the period, and thereafter it doesn't really look like there's a whole lot of upper atmospheric energy. There are no real major storm systems, so it looks like a fairly quiet week as far as rain or snow. Now I wanted to mention the snow accumulation and the snow depth. Snow accumulation, the gray here is just very light amounts of snow, so there could be some snow here and there. Looks like the heaviest snow will be again confined to on the lee side of the lakes, the Great Lakes. Elsewhere, any snow should be very, very light, not all that significant this week. Now, I mentioned that a lot of the snow would be melted due to milder temperatures and the rain. Rain just eats away snow very, very quickly. And you can see by the end of this week, by Friday, all the snow is gone now in Missouri, most of Illinois, large parts of Indiana, and Nebraska. So this past, even as 2 or 3 days of milder temperatures, a lot of rain that really removed a lot of the snow cover over parts of the middle part of the nation. Now, as far as any weekly hazards, really not too much. The last 3 or 4 weeks, I've had some weekly hazards, and more times they've not. They've dealt with very cold temperatures. Right now, it looks like the only hazard will be some higher winds, some gusty winds throughout the week, and that'll be about it. No really precipitation hazards and no extreme temperature hazards. Now, with that area of low pressure, I want to look up a little bit further out, week 2, 3, and 4 to give you a heads up. This is week 2. This is temperature. And with that area of low pressure anchored up here in Canada, that will be keeping temperatures close to normal over the eastern part of the U.S., and then warmer over the western U.S. So it looks like not an extreme one way or the other as far as temperatures during this January 18th through 24th. You know, we've had such below normal temperatures for a long time. I think just normal temperatures are going to feel pretty nice as we get into the middle part of January. It also looks very dry. I don't see any signs of major snowstorms other than associated with the lakes again. But other than that, it looks like an unusually dry period through the middle part of the month as well, January 17th through 24th. Normal temperatures, most likely below normal precipitation. Now let's look out a little bit further. Remember, I've been telling you that Arctic oscillations alternating back and forth. You really see it in temperatures. The latter part of January, 24th through 30th, the areas shaded in red, those are well above normal temperatures. We could go back after this normal temperature period. We could get some above normal temperatures in this latter part of January. But then at the very end of January, green is below normal, have some more cooler air. So I think that's really going to be the story as we go through the rest of January, maybe even into February, where we have 1 week milder, 1 week colder, but I don't see any extreme. Matter of fact, looking at this period here, January 31st through February 6th, the recent cold would have shown up as this really a very large area of blue. So we're just showing slightly below normal temperatures when that cool air comes down. So compared to what we have had so far this winter, it really looks like the next 2 or 3 weeks aren't going to be anywhere close. Now, as far as precipitation, you can look here, January 24th through 30th, and then the end of the month, and I really don't see any significant precipitation. I think it's going to be either normal, so that doesn't mean that we're not going to get any precipitation, but it either looks normal or trending towards below normal. So it looks like overall what I would call a quiet type period compared to the types of extreme weather we have been getting. So your takeaway points from today's briefing: rain will be pushing east, snow will also be pushing east up in the upper Midwest. It looks like mild start to the week with the weekend quite mild, and then seasonal temperatures as we cool off and get into this alternating weekly pattern of temperature and precipitation trending either normal or below normal right into latter part of January. I did this briefing a little bit earlier, but I will be providing next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, I will be giving you your next briefing. Have a nice week.